Hello and welcome to a crunch edition of the NBL1 show. Thanks to Coles Express. I'm Megan Hustwaite, Pete Hooley with me at the desk as usual. Pete, it really is all happening this weekend. We say it every week, but finals are starting in some of our conferences. Are you excited?
I am excited, but I'll tell you what made me more excited, hearing a crunch edition. I've never heard that description of what we're about to be, but it's what it is. There's triple doubles everywhere. There's final spots being locked in. There's some big games coming up in the last few rounds of a couple of conferences, and all of it means we're one step closer to the national championships.
Which is what you're mainly excited
Correct.
about. It all comes back to that. It is a crunch weekend ahead though, because we do have finals in two conferences. North and Central finals begin this week. We're going to talk about them shortly, show you the fixture for big weekends, and then we've got one round to go in both South and West conferences. So some crunch games this weekend to decide the final standings. Some teams are hanging on in the final eight, some are trying to push in, so it's going to be a huge weekend. And then we've got two rounds to go in East, so a couple of weeks there to settle in the final spots.
And crunch count, we're at 3, so make sure if you're tuning in, the crunch count is currently at 3. But you're right, it's some big things around the country, big performances, team and individual. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. We've also got two massive guests coming up today, so really looking forward to chatting to them. But let's start with East women's action from the weekend. And the Nationals had a solid round 17, defeating Maitland on Friday night, 78-66. Lizzie Tongs had a triple-double. She was producing all of the highlights at the weekend with 16 points, 10 rebounds and 11 assists.
And on Saturday, they couldn't quite get past the 6-seeded Manly Sea Eagles in a 59-107 loss at home. Kimberly Hodge and Alex Delaney both had 25 points in that win.
And then the Hawks escaped with a win at home against the Bears on Saturday, 72-70. Illawarra's Georgia Oradorf made all 4 of her free throws in 2 separate trips in the final minutes of the game. She finished with a double-double of 13 points and 11 rebounds for the 5th-seeded Hawks.
Our next guest, who's about to join us, has had a big season, but what a weekend that she had. The Bandits lost to the Sharks on Saturday, defeated the Hawks on Sunday. Unique Thompson had 49 points and 25 rebounds against Sutherland before following that up with 39 points, 17 rebounds and 7 steals. 1 point away from a 50-piece, and she has been balling out and can't wait to have a chat with her.
Well, let's do it now. We've been waiting to have a chat to her on the NBL1 show, and this lady is one of them because she's had a huge impact since she's come into NBL1. Her name is Unique Thompson. She plays for the Bandits and she joins us now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gee, you've got to work very quickly since coming to Australia and joining Albury. How have you found your new team and NBL1?
Yeah, they're great. Honestly, I've had the best experience since I've been here. This is my first time being in Australia, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it's been great since I got to Australia. The girls are great. My coach is great as well. So I'm just enjoying my experience 100%.
Well, before we get on to a little bit about your time in Australia, let's talk about the form on the court, because you are playing some terrific basketball. Just enjoying the way you go about it, or is there a special group that's been put together?
It's a special group for sure. Everybody plays hard. We all play together, and it's just like a great team to be a part of. So, the girls they get me going, and it's just a good team to play for, and it's a great experience every night, every weekend, in and out.
So when you're being recruited to come and play in Albury, and you're probably told you're going to be playing in the same team as the GOAT, Lauren Jackson, what was your reaction to that?
Well, actually, I didn't know. I talked to Coach Paps, and he was just telling me about the team. And Lauren wasn't mentioned, and so I was just like, okay. So I was asking him a few questions. And so then I typed it in because I was just like, what is Albury? Where is it? Like, where am I going? And the first thing that pops up is Lauren Jackson returns. And I said, oh, shoot. And I called them and I was like, I'm in. I'm coming.
But how does the coach not tell you that? Surely that's a huge selling point that you get to play alongside the GOAT.
I'm sure he was keeping that. He wanted to just keep it in his bag, of course.
Well, talk to us a little bit about when you arrived, obviously meeting her, but playing alongside her. We know she's been in and out of the squad. It must be something that a few years ago, a lot of us never thought possible. We didn't know she'd return, but she's not just returned. Like, the way she's playing on the floor as well, it's helped elevate your game. What have you learnt? How's the whole experience been alongside the GOAT?
Yeah, it's been great. She's great off the court as well and just on the court. She's somebody that, when she speaks, you always listen, no matter what it is. And that's been the biggest influence to me, because she helps just with anything, even if you're frustrated or just like the small things, like if you miss a layup, she'll just come to you and tell you, maybe you should have turned this way. Then you try it and you're like, oh, shoot, that small thing actually worked. And it's great just having her, just being on the team because she has so much respect for everybody, from everybody. So it's just a great experience, just being with her and just the type of person and player that she is.
Well, she's got a lot of respect for you. She's big rap for you and believes that you should be an import in the WNBL for the upcoming season. Is that a goal for you? Do you want to stick around and hopefully get a WNBL contract?
Well, I actually had already signed my contract to renew to go back to Russia. So I had a 2-year deal there. And so I signed it before I came to Australia. And so then getting here, I was just like, oh, shoot, But there's always next year. That's one of the things that I have in my back pocket now to know that, next year, that's definitely on the radar.
Well, we'd love to see that happen when the time does come. So talk a little bit about your time in Australia. You said you didn't know where Albury was. You're in Albury now. So have you had the chance to get out of Albury? Have you seen anything? Are there things that you want to do before your time here is up?
I really haven't, I've been around Albury. I've seen things around here. We go to Sydney when we play, but I haven't, really experienced or seen a lot of the things that there is to see. So we have a bye week next weekend. So I'll probably, if we don't have training, I'll look to, kind of explore and see what I can get into. But my experience here has been great. Everybody is so nice and friendly and it feels like home, honestly. So I'm just, finding my way here for the last few weeks and just trying to enjoy everything that I can.
Are you sure you can't get out of that Russian contract? I think we want to keep you here.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you talk about Albury, two things that come to mind for me. I grew up playing in an Albury Wodonga tournament, but the RSL is one, and it's cold. How have you adapted to the weather? Because there's been some cold mornings around in Australia in the middle of winter. You surviving okay?
Yeah, I think I got a warm up coming from Russia. I went home for a couple weeks, and it's summer back in Alabama. So I went from the cold to summer, and then I was packing my bags and I asked, what's the weather there? And they said freezing. And I'm like, oh man, so I'm going from cold to cold, So I got a tan before I came here. I tried to make the best of the beach, and then I came here. So it's been good, coming from Russia where it was literally freezing. I think it's pretty fair. It's not too bad.
So 2 rounds to go until finals. Albury, top of the table, and will finish there for the first time in the history of the women's program, which is incredible. How excited are you for finals and a tilt at the championship?
Oh, I'm so excited. I wish we didn't have a bye weekend. I'm like, man, can we just keep going? Can we keep rolling? But I am so excited. I can't wait to play and just continue to compete with the girls.
And we know there's been different times when Lauren Jackson, who's a big part of the team, has been in and out throughout the season. It seems that whether she's there or not, your game stays the same or maybe you elevate. How good has it been for your own game to maybe pick up a bit of a slack when she's not there? But also the other girls coming through and saying, look, if she's not here, we all have to step up and still manage to get some big wins.
Yeah, well, coming in, I knew that I would play a huge role. We knew what my role would be coming into, being here. And having Lauren on the weekends is great. It takes some pressure off because it's just teams, they can't do much from both of us, on the court. And so whenever she's not there, I get a bit nervous, no lie, because it's just I know the girls are going to rely on me and I have to show up and just, always for that 40 minutes, just play the best game that I can. So my mindset going into those games has always just been, just show up and play and do everything that I can for those 40 minutes. And that's honestly what I've been doing, and it's been working.
It sure has been working because you've been showing up every week since you got here. We're rapt that you've come into the NBL1 competition. Keep up the great work and good luck for the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Pete, what a great way to start the show. She was fantastic.
Just love to see her if she comes back to the WNBL. I think she can have a really big career here. Everyone seems to imports come down to Australia, fall in love with the place and then don't often leave. We've seen it a lot. So I'm expecting maybe come that next season in WNBL that we'll see her put her name in there. And
she's only played 2 games with LJ because of the way things have worked out. So watch out as they team up together.
Well, it's probably the one person you could ever hope to have who's going to go for bat for you if you want to play Hawks in the WNBL. Just say, look, LJ, can you make a call for me? And then every team will say, no worries, GOAT, whatever you need.
I still can't believe Matt Paps didn't sell to her that you're going to play with the GOAT. Surely that's the number one selling point.
You would think so. Absolutely.
Let's continue on with the East theme now as we take a look at the men's action from the weekend. And the Hawks have moved up to second on the ladder off the back of a 2-zip weekend at home.
On the Saturday, they beat the fourth place Bears 91-77, then beating Albury 113-84. Our guest from last week, Kiwi Gardner, he averaged 31.5 points, 7 rebounds, 8.5 assists and 4.5 steals. Would have slept well after performances like that.
Absolutely. The Gunners remain on top despite a 1-1 weekend. Our Twitter friends will be very happy with how they're sitting pretty at the top of the ladder. On Friday, they lost by 1 to Maitland, but they bounced back on Saturday against Manly 92-63, 28 points and 14 rebounds from Glenn Morrison.
Jumping to third by 4 percentage points was Maitland. They beat Canberra and then also beat the Bruins by 2 on Saturday. Jack Edwards, he closed the game at the free throw line, and Matt Gray had 28 points and 11 rebounds. Nice double-double for Maitland.
Absolutely. As we mentioned, it is finals time in NBL1 North. Let's take a look at how it's set to unfold this weekend. In the women's conference, finals are locked in, as you can see on your screen. The elimination and quarterfinals start Saturday. Pete, take us through what's coming up.
Southern District will play USC. The Capitals against Northside. Logan Thunder, they're going to be a really tough beat. Play the Dolphins. Townsville versus Mackay. It's all on NBL1.com.au or the NBL1 app. And don't forget, Logan, they went undefeated in the season. So is that a good thing, or could a loss have done them well? Good, we'll find out. But they went 19-0, and they had the wild card game. So it's a 20-0 season. That's not a bad regular season, but when it comes down to it, it could all mean nothing if they don't get the job done here. So this is what it's all about. Finals, regular season records scrapped. It's all to play for.
New season. Well, on Saturday, they dealt Southwest Metro a 111-67 victory. Chevy Palvast had 40 points, 6 rebounds and 6 assists. Now, I know we talk about Michaela Roof every week, and fair enough because she's been absolutely dominating. But I think sometimes Logan's success takes away the team effort that they do have, and players like Chevy have stepped up for them all season. So great to see her dominate.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, what a season, Michaela Roof. One of the finalists for the North MVP. That got released yesterday, and obviously Kayla George is in that as well. Some other big stars that we've spoken to. And we saw a preview of one of the finals matchups on the weekend. The Capitals played Northside. Abby Cabillo, great guest of ours, had a really good season. She got the better of Tiana Mangakahi and Shyla Hill with 25 points, 9 rebounds and 5 assists in the win. And that will be a feisty finals matchup.
Oh, it's going to be on, isn't it? And congratulations to Heidi Freeburn, who has announced her retirement after 15 years of playing in Queensland in the state comp and then NBL1. So congratulations to Heidi. Enjoy retirement and what's coming up next for you. As we take a look at North men's action now, and while the women's conference finals are locked in, the elimination quarterfinals start Friday for the men.
Gold Coast will play Logan, and then on Saturday the Marlins play Ipswich, Mackay play Northside, and USC against the Salties. The Wizards, they snuck into the conference finals with a big weekend last week. A 2-0 weekend. They beat Brisbane 101-77, 25 points and 15 rebounds from Lual Ding, and then beat USC without Kuat Noi or Swakala Bullock. Keanu Pinder, check out. I don't know why we keep jumping with Keanu.
I love this.
It's a silly thing to do because he's playing with confidence and he's an athlete. And I tell you what, now that they're stacked, they are going to be a really tough beat come NBL1 North Finals. So if they're going to weigh their rolling, Mitch McCarron, Anthony Drimmick, Keanu Pinder, Ding, this squad is going to be tough to beat.
I'm going to have my phone to my face like this all weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
Watching finals, but particularly them, they are stacked, and you just know that the highlights are just going to be coming thick and fast from those games. The Ipswich Force played the Gold Coast Rollers on Saturday, beating them by 5, 118-113. Magic Dang had 44 points and 14 rebounds. Our boy Jason Keddy put in his own 39 points and 9 assists, shooting 15 of 22 from the field.
Yeah, he carried on a bit with the social clip from last week, Jason Keddy, because remember, he didn't take enough shots in his big performance.
We carried on, or he did?
Or he did, and
I
then
thought
we had a bit of a conversation. He only took 1 shot in that game last week and in the third quarter, and we said there's no way you should be shooting that least amount of shots if you're going to be shooting like that well. 15 from 22 is an exceptional clip for 39 points. So again, shoot the ball, get to your 50, get to 55, get a new record. I'm just putting the hammer down.
And he was saying, pre-season started back last week.
He also had the 10 assists last week, and he was saying for my teammates. But I think the teammates want to see a 50 burger as well.
Yeah, a finals 50 burger.
It's possible he can shoot it.
Do it, Jason Kadey. We're waiting. Let's move on to Central action now, where finals are also tipping off this weekend, Pete. And the women's conference finals, the Bearcats automatically advance to the semis, where they'll face either the Panthers or the Sabres, who play on Saturday night.
Well, there you can see how it's going to work out. And this is the one thing to remember with every conference final structure is very, very different. So make sure you jump onto the app, onto the socials to have a look at how it's going to work. The loser of the Panthers-Sabres game will play whoever wins the 4th and 5th elimination final between Forestville and Nord, which will be a cracker. And as we said, you can see there's difference. There's some series games up north. So everything is different, and it's all gearing towards one thing that's coming in September.
And live weekends, win and you play the next day, lose, you're just completely out waiting for the winner of another final. It's
full on. It's full on, especially when we get to the finals now, because really you could be one game away from Mad Monday the following day. Some people enjoy that. Some people want to keep playing.
No Mad Mondays anytime soon.
No, you don't want it
Not
yet.
after national finals.
Correct.
Let's talk about Norwood, because they beat the Sabres by 1. Ali Wilson coming back from the Commonwealth Games, where congratulations to the gals. They won a bronze medal. She scored 4 points in the final minute of the game with a layup and 2 free throws to seal the win. She finished with an almost triple of 18 points, 18 rebounds and 9 assists. We'll talk about our athletes who have been at the Com Games. Great to see them back in NBL1 action at the weekend. Ali's on a bit of a tear at the moment, so looking forward to seeing what she can produce in finals. Again,
one of those teams that when they're rolling, they can produce some big upsets. I'm expecting them to play with a bit of momentum. The top of the ladder, Bearcats took care of North by 9 points. Peyton Taylor had 30 points, and the Bearcats held strong as Jasmine Fijo and Jenny Rintalo. I think she might have been our first guest ever on the show. What a great one she was. 22 points and 23 points respectively in the win.
And just on Jenny, she's moved to Melbourne, so she's been in South Australia, but she's doing the fly in, fly out, and it seems to be working for her.
Actually coached a camp with her about a month or so ago.
Yeah.
We caught up there.
She's one of the greats.
And all the kids were asking to shoot half-court shots. And I hit mine on the first one. So I'll leave on that.
Did you bring the highlights in?
No, I didn't.
Maybe.
Everyone just kept asking about my dud finger, which is a bit of a setback.
Okay. Well, maybe you can bring it in next week.
I'll try.
We'll play it off the top of the show. Let's take a look at Central men's action now, where finals are also locked in for this weekend as we take a look on screen now. And Woodville automatically advanced to the semis, where they'll face either the Panthers or the Eagles, who play Saturday night 8 p.m.
Loser of the Panthers and Eagles will play whoever wins 4th in that elimination between North and Nord. And Melbourne United have signed Malith Machar as a development player. He's really exciting, and Dean Vickerman is very high on what he can do. On the weekend, he had 18 points and 13 rebounds against the Eastern Mavericks. Daniel Johnson back from the Commonwealth Games, but this is what he can do. Now, this is a set play that the Forestville Eagles have been running numerous times throughout the season. You'd think teams would start to scout that, but they've got it more than once, so make sure you're just tuning into the Eagles. It's the quickest. We thought we might have seen the quickest highlight from the Centrals a few weeks ago, but Forestville said, hang on, we've got a little set play here. We've got athletes galore.
Can we just say how much a remarkable effort it is that the men's and women's teams, 3-on-3, won medals at the Commonwealth Games, have flown back from the UK and played NBL1 at the weekend? Like, it's a serious effort, and I love the commitment and the desire to want to play NBL1. So it was so great to have them all back.
Oh, it was unbelievable, especially Daniel Johnson and the older legs, because I definitely wouldn't have done it no matter how old I was. So it's a big rap for him. And
you're pretty old.
I feel very old, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now on to the top of the ladder, Warriors, and they come into the conference finals with their 3rd loss of the season against the 3rd place Panthers. A lot of 3 there in numerology. South Adelaide won 90-66 on the Warriors' home court as Alex Starling had 19 points and 14 rebounds in the win.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to kind of lose a game like that against a potential finals matchup, so we'll see how they respond.
But sometimes you can have, not that, is it the loss you had to have, but sometimes you have a loss late in the season and it sets you up for an incredible finals
I have been saying that about Logan Thunder up north, but maybe not that close to finals against the team that you might be playing potentially in the finals. So we'll see how they respond.
Let's head west now and have a look at every everything that's happening out there. We have to start with Coburn's Catherine Tudor. The Cougars beat Goldfields 89-85. Tudor made 10 3-pointers, shooting 10 of 13 with a total of 31 points. The Cougars now sit 5th on the ladder below the Magic and the Tigers.
Well, 10 of 13 from 3 means you had 7 available heat checks that you didn't take, so hopefully they can get some more up. The Wolves were missing Robbie Ryan, but still went 1-1 over round 17. They took down the Suns at home on Friday, 110-58, and on Saturday they fell short against the Magic in a 23-point loss.
We had Robbie on the show a couple of weeks ago. She was fantastic, and congratulations to her. She signed with the Perth Lynx for the upcoming WNBL season. So we talk about it every week. We're seeing NBL1 players, men and women, getting reward for their NBL1 season efforts and getting contracts. We love to see it.
It's what it's for. I mean, we see both WNBL and NBL coaches and teams that always have eyes on both the next talent and people who do produce, even imports at some stages throughout the season. So it's exciting, it's well deserved, and what it means is for next year, you've got another crop of young stars coming in thinking they can perform well in NBL1. The next step of their career is just around the corner.
Let's talk about Mandurah now, and they won the game with 4 starters in double digits. Hannah Little added 10 points, 11 rebounds and 5 assists in 21 productive minutes.
And the 7th place Flames are making their push for finals with a 41-point win over the Redbacks on Saturday. Myron Craker had 30 points, 11 of 14 from the field. And again, if you're going to shoot that efficiently, you need to get some more shots up. If we're going to blast Jason Kadar, we're going to blast everybody.
That's true. As we take a look at men's action now in Western, the Buccaneers, Pete, remain on top after beating the 6th-seeded Warwick at home on Saturday.
One of our guests, a good friend of mine, Matthew Muir, he led the game with 24 points, and Sean Stewart almost had a triple-double with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists.
Rocky continued to be dangerous as they took down the Perth Redbacks on Saturday, 117-90. Tom Jervis got the elusive triple-double with 12 points, 14 rebounds and 10 assists, while Devondrick Walker put up 29 points and 5 assists in 27 minutes, as only Devondrick Walker does.
Oh, good on you, Tommy Jervis. You missed out by 1 stat the week before, and normally you don't get that close every weekend for a triple-double. To come back and get it, that's a good thing for him. The old head just keeps getting it done. So the 7th place Magic took down the Wolves, who are 3rd place on Saturday night. Mandurah had 3 players score 24 points or more.
Incredible effort. Let's take a look at wildcard action now as Pete gets out his abacus, his calculator, all of his tools and tricks. And we're going to talk about the women's COE season, which was completed on Sunday, 95-52 win over Sutherland.
And the COE, they finished the season going 10-6, and the Southern District Spartans, they've won the women's wildcard. They'll either be entering the Coles Express NBL1 National Final by either winning their North Conference final, or if they lose in that, they will make it through the wild card slot. So they're basically going to be there one way or another. If they can get past Logan in the finals, then it will drop to somebody else. The men's side, they've got 1 game left against the 2nd-seeded North Bears in the East on Sunday at 2 p.m. on KO Freebies. This is a big game. When to talk about that men's wildcard slot for the national finals, if the Bears beat the COE in by more than 135 percentage points, I don't have my maths head on to be able to do exactly what that is. Basically, don't let the COE score too much and score as much as you can. You'll get there. They'll take the men's wildcard slot. If they don't, then the South Frankston Blues, NBL1 South Frankston Blues, they will take it. So I'm sure everybody will be tuned in to see how that works out.
Now, don't forget, all this information will be on our socials, the website, the app, if you can't understand us.
Well, and again, so we saw it on the weekend with the Blues. One of our guests is coming up. They beat the COE 103-76. They basically knocked off Logan, who was in the box seat to take the wild card by 4 percentage points. Loki Barker had 23 points, but they seemed to understand what was going on. And I think when it came down to it, we've got to beat the COE by as much as possible, but it's not just points difference, it's in the percentage. So defense will matter. And this is going to be a big game on Sunday because it's nice to have that little buffer. So if you're the Frankston Blues and they get to hold on to that wild card spot, if they don't win the NBL1 South Conference, they'll be in the national final as a wild card. I think I've got that right, and if I haven't, I'm sure I'll be told.
I think you've got it right. Let's take a look at South women's action now. From the weekend, it wouldn't be South without talking about a Froling.
Alicia Froling's the Knox Raiders. They went down to the Icehouse, got a win over the 3rd place Pioneers. She had 27 points and 18 rebounds. They've climbed the ladder in the recent weeks, winning 4 straight games since the Froling versus Froling battle.
Oh, she'll be taking that one for sure, Alicia, over Keeley. The Braves beat the Tigers by 48 points in Bendigo on Saturday. Kelly Wilson back in action, 11 points, 9 9 assists, 6 rebounds and 5 steals. That is a stat line very familiar to Callie Wilson. Cass McLean, great again, 29 points and 7 rebounds. They just continue to roll, don't they? And they've got Tess Madgen coming back in too.
Well, they do. And finally, we have to have a look at the race for 8th in South as Keely Froling's Tornadoes. They're 1 win ahead of Jade Melbourne's Ballarat, who sit at 9th. Ballarat plays Mount Gambier on Friday, which will be a tough game, and then Braves on Sunday, whereas Launceston will only play the 17th place Chargers on Friday. So you think that Keely Froling is in the box seat to secure that last finals berth?
Well, it'll be interesting this week because they should have Tolo back. And not sure about Kelsey Griffin, whether she's back either. So
another one of those teams that are at full strength heading into the finals you don't want to be playing.
But they did have a loss at the weekend, the Tawns, to Sandringham, who went down to Tassie and won both their games, which was great to see. I want to talk about one of the great stories in NBL1 this season, and it's Georgia Pino. And we've talked about Dane a bit back in action. He's had a horrid injury run, but so has Georgia. Her stats at the weekend, 24 points and 12 rebounds, and then 36 and 8 in game 2. Now, I was in the WNBL hub 2 seasons ago. You were here in the studio doing commentary, and it was a horrible day when we were in quarantine in Brisbane for 2 weeks before going into the hub, and the 3 Victorian teams were in the quarantine but were allowed to go and practice and have some practice games in the lead up to the season. And Georgia did her ACL during one of those practice games, and it was just horrible because it's horrible for anyone to do it. But considering the circumstances, she'd just come back from college to go into quarantine for a 2-month season and do your knee in a practice game. So it's just so wonderful to see her back on court and to have a huge weekend like that. Tolo's partner, Dan Jackson, who's been heavily involved in basketball for a long time, he tweeted at the weekend, you know, she's easily a WNBL player, and she is. So hopefully we'll see her on a WNBL roster, Pete, but they've had a few injuries in that family.
Oh, they have. And I tell you what, it just looks like when they're out there and she was out there smiling and having fun that she's balling out. So good things are happening. And I'm with you. I think she's definitely a WNBL player, and hopefully that comes sooner rather than later.
Yeah, go G-Pin. Let's have a look at the South men's action now. We'll firstly start with Mount Gambier's Eric Burden, who reached a club record 267 games. Congratulations, and capped it off with a 1-point win against Knox.
Yeah, big from Easy. What a career that he's had, and he's still running around out there. So big congratulations to him. Nick Marshall's 2 free throws pushed it to a 2-possession game and secured the win for the Pioneers, who again have come good at the right point of the time. He had 18 points and 8 rebounds. They're currently holding second on the ladder to Knox's 9th. The Knox will have to beat Ringwood and Keilor to make sure they secure a final spot.
Gee, that's a tough weekend, isn't it? The Diamond Valley Eagles beat the Miners in Ballarat 101-79. King DJ had a triple-double, 22 points, 10 rebounds and 12 assists in the win. Pete, I have to say this, I was in Ballarat at the weekend. You lived there for a while when you played for Ballarat. I grew up there. My God, it was so cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
It was so cold. My poor dog had icicles on her face.
I mean, the new stadium now, back in the day, the Mitre Dome,
Mitre
used to get cold for 6 a.m. trains. Well done to DJ, got that triple-double. He's been having an incredible season. 12 assists, I'm impressed. I didn't expect him to be passing the ball much in this season, and that's a big game for him.
So the Eagles 8th on the ladder going into the final round. They play Frankston this week. Game of the week, that is going to be
it will be fun
cracker. The 3rd place Cobras beat Frankston at home on Sunday, 101-92. Corey Jeffs led the team in scoring with 23 points, while Frankston's Adrio Bailey had his own 23 points and 10 rebounds. He's been huge since coming into that lineup. He's
been really good, but really the Kilsyth Cobras, speaking of a team that can just do it all as a unit, they have no real superstars. We know Deng Deng is down there, but everyone chips in and they are playing some really good basketball. They're having a lot of fun down there, and another team that might cause a few issues in the finals.
Well, Pete, one of the Blue Stars joins us now on the NBL1 show as we welcome Dillon Stith. Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Now, we were just talking off air about the wildcard situation because, you know, we're always on our calculators and our abacus trying to work things out. Was that what you were kind of trying to do in your head at the weekend?
Yeah, I was just going to say the only thing harder than working it out, you know, in retrospect is trying to work it out in real time. So, you know, being in the 4th quarter of a, you know, close game, knowing that, you know, Logan Thunder, you know, what they did before and the target to beat, And yeah, it was coming down to the wire, and we had there were some calculators out behind our bench.
Well, there was a lot of celebration when those few buckets down the stretch. Now, it doesn't. You've got it right now, but there's a game on Sunday. COE play the North Bears. You'll be tuning into that one to see how that goes because calculators are on your bench. They'll be well and truly shipped over to the North Bears. They'll be trying to make sure that they can try and take that spot, that security. Will be everybody watching that game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is we were absolutely excited when the buzzer went off. To have an opportunity to take the lead in the wild card, and have a chance at the national tournament. That's a special thing. So if we'll be definitely tuning in next Sunday, and hopefully we'll be still top of the ladder when it's all said and done.
And now we know that the wild card, it's not just the way you're thinking because you still want to come in and win the NBL1 South first in the finals. It's been a bit of an up and down year for Frankston. How have you managed to right the ship in the last few weeks? Because you went through a pretty rough patch and consecutive losses in games that perhaps you shouldn't lose with the talent you have, but you seem to have turned it around at the right end of in the season.
Yeah, Pete, as basketball is a game of runs, right? And a way we look at it, a way I look at it as well is the season is a game of runs. It's a marathon, so you got to find a way through the tough patches. You got to find a way when the rhythm is good. You got to find a way to keep the rhythm, and we definitely had a bit of a tough patch, a month ago, but. We had to steer the ship, and the reality is we have a talented group of guys. So, it's just finding a way to make it happen, and getting that trust in each other, and finding a way to play for a championship because there's no question that's what we're after.
Have the wins, the good wins, given you guys self-belief that you are good enough?
Yeah, we've had some big wins. There was a moment in the season where we were down. Two starters. We were down. We had just brought in Adriel Bailey. He wasn't able to play. He wasn't cleared yet. So, and we went on the road at Geelong when they were top of the ladder and they were, fully loaded, and we were able to take them down. And we have some signature wins as a group, and we know what we're capable of. We're finding a bit of gel. Yes, we dropped one Sunday against a tough kill site team, but we're definitely trending in the right direction. Winning 4 of the last 5, and it's that time of the year, right? This is the time when you want to be playing your best basketball, and we know what that recipe looks like for us.
Well, we're just watching some highlights of you basically volleyball spiking the ball all around Frankston court. But I want to talk to, we had a special guest at the start of the show, Unique Thompson, import for Albury, who came to Australia recently and is playing in the East competition, just fell in love with Australia. She's got another contract to go to in Russia. Talk to me a little bit about your journey. When you first came to Australia, what did you know all those years ago? Because you've clearly fallen in love with the place. You're here now, you're staying here, you're doing some great work with Hoop City as well down in Cheltenham. Did you envision when you first moved to Australia that you'd fall in love with it so much to not want to leave?
No, I mean, it's a good question, but no, I was just finishing college and ready to pursue a pro journey, and I was just happy to have a club that wanted to take me, and a coach and Andrew Gaze that was keen on me playing on the Tigers. So. I kind of had to back myself to make that opportunity happen, and was lucky enough to meet some good people on the way. And I think the first impression is usually the most important, right? And I was surrounded by some good people right away. Being a part of basketball in Melbourne since 2015, the way the basketball scene has grown in the last 6-7 years has been remarkable. So it's just pretty fortunate, good timing, and I've met some good people, and the basketball, scene here is something that I feel very, I feel like I'm a part of it, and working with Hoop City and things like that right now, I get to I get to leave a footprint in it, and it's a pretty exciting time.
I think we can see the smile on your face when you talk about how immersed you've become into Melbourne and the basketball world here, which we love. Can we talk about Loki Barker, because it's one of our favourite topics. We saw him get his chance in the NBL last season with the Phoenix, but how worthy of a place on an NBL roster is he? Give us a bit of an insight into Loki Barker. You're his teammate. How good is he?
So Loki's an absolute beast, man. I mean, I played on, I played all over, played in Europe, played, obviously college basketball, and even being on NBL courts, winning championship with United and being around guys like, Chris Golding. There's not much separating Loki from being one of the best pure scorers, best, natural players that I've been around. When the basketball's in his hands, he can make some special things happen. There's no question about it. And anyone who's seen him play, they know, right? He's not only entertaining, he's he just breathes it, and he can make plays, for other players. He can make plays for himself. And ever since I've been in Frankston, he's somebody who I've seen make something out of nothing more times than I can count. So I can see how he would be a lot of people's favorite player, right? He's awesome. He's definitely an NBL player. So it's just one of those things where we sit back and we wait to see what happened, and you just kind of have to trust the process of a player who puts in that work. And does the small things right, and those things usually come around full circle, and he'll find himself back on an NBL court, no question about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he's extremely fun to watch, and you're right, creating something out of nothing, what his game is, and it does a lot of things like that. Now, you mentioned before we let you go, the NBL1 National Finals are coming up. We're looking forward to that, and the NBL1 South Finals as well, because no one wants to play a full-strength Frankston once they've figured things out. 2015, so it's been a long time. It's a long enough time for somebody who's staying in Australia to have had a good understanding of the AFL and picked an AFL team not based on I've been here for a month or someone's shown me the game. Talk to me, who's the AFL team that you've latched onto in the last 7 years?
I get a lot of flack for this question now. I used to not, but I get it now because people think that I'm a bandwagon guy, but go D's.
Oh, 100%.
No, but hold on.
I knew you were going to say that too. That is a 100% bandwagon guy.
But is it as simple as moving to Melbourne and barracking for the football team called Melbourne?
Yes, there's a bit of that, and my better half, Katie, longtime Life D supporter. So I just had to, as you know, in Victoria, football can separate families. So I had to be smart about it, and I'm Demons through and through.
Well, I'm going to fact check that, because in 2015 or 2018, there's no way that you could possibly be happy to be calling yourself a Melbourne sport.
Yeah, we had some tough years.
I love it. This is what I'm talking about. He's been here long enough now that you can say we. It's not just.
But I think we might deep dive your social media just to check you didn't go to a game early 2015 and we're on Hawthorn.
No, I saw him wearing a Bulldog scarf when they won.
Bulldog scarf.
We'll change it.
That's hilarious.
You are certainly part of the basketball community here in Melbourne. We love it. Thank you for joining us on the show today, and good luck for the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
Well, Pete, we've had some cracking guests, every week on the NBL1 show, but I really loved the theme today. 2 imports that have come to Australia and had a huge impact here. One settled down, one will hopefully be back. 2 great stories.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we'll see Unique Thompson back in Australia next year after her next contract, and I hope so, because she is fun to watch, and as we said, the GOAT is vouching for her, and Dillon Stith, he's been around so long now, you basically think he's Australian the way he's playing. So, happy to see them here, and it's a good story because it happens a lot. Imports come into Australia, fall in love with the basketball scene and the culture outside of basketball, and they don't leave. This is what NBL1 does. We are super excited about this weekend finals in a couple of conferences. You can catch those games live on the NBL1 app.
Keep an eye on socials. All the highlights and info will be there, and then some super crunch games in the final round of South, final rounds to come, also in East and West. Cannot wait, Pete.
Oh, it's going to be exciting, but as you said, some things are a little harder to figure out, so just jump online onto the app or socials and it'll all be there for you. And we're getting a little closer and closer to finding out who's competing for the national titles.
Enjoy a massive weekend of NBL1. We'll be back the same time next week talking about the winners and the losers from the first week of finals in a couple of conferences. We'll see you then.
It's one shot, not a future.